The moment I opened the door, a father's instinct told me something was wrong. The man holding my daughter's hand kissed her on the cheek as if claiming his territory. His cold, scrutinizing eyes swept across the house like he was appraising a property, then stopped at me, arrogant, defiant, and calculating. I knew instantly, this wasn't a meeting, it was a battle. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and comment below. Tell me what time and where you usually listen to these stories. Dad. Lily's voice trembled with excitement, a sound I hadn't heard since the day Camila passed away. This is Diego. Before I could react, he dropped to one knee right in the middle of the foyer. The marble tiles Camila had chosen 16 years ago reflected the theatrics of his gesture, gleaming, but cold as a gravestone. From the fireplace came a few soft crackles, keeping time with the ticking clock, thickening the silence. My dog, who usually avoided strangers, barked once, then crept behind the couch, fur standing on end. Behind him, an older couple entered without being invited. The woman's sharp perfume immediately overpowered the scent of the old cherrywood furniture, like two worlds trying to erase each other. "Mr. Walker," Diego said, still kneeling, his voice heavy with accent yet disturbingly smooth. "I would like to ask for your daughter's hand. She is the destiny of my life." I looked straight at him. His eyes were not those of a man in love but of someone closing a deal. His hands bore no calluses, only the gleam of a Rolex. "Maybe you're in the wrong place," I said slowly. "This isn't a movie set." Lily giggled, trying to break the tension. "Diego, you're making me blush." But the light in her eyes wasn't love, it was the light of someone who had just spotted her escape from ordinary life. The older man, his father, no doubt walked right past me, his heels clicking sharply. "Nice house," he said, his tone slick as oil. His finger brushed along the sofa's edge, lifting the tag underneath. "Real leather, huh? Guess Americans do have taste after all." "That's Raul, Diego's father," Lily said, tugging my arm. "And this is Veronica, his mother." Veronica shook my hand, her smile wide but cold. "A pleasure." "Lily said you own a freight company. What's the approximate value of your assets so we can plan the wedding accordingly?" "Plan the wedding?" I repeated under my breath. 2 months. It's only been 2 months. I glanced at Raul. He pulled out his phone and began snapping photos of every family picture on the wall, each click slicing away a piece of the home. Veronica circled the room, her eyes sweeping over every item like an appraiser inspecting stolen goods. Diego stood close to Lily, one arm around her shoulder, the other constantly checking his phone. The screen flashed with a short message. "Don't forget to ask about company shares." "My dad's company manages half the freight network in Phoenix," Lily said proudly. I, meanwhile, felt a chill crawl up my spine. Raul froze, then exchanged a look with his wife. A slow smile crept across his face, the kind you see on predators scenting blood. "I've always admired men who know how to build and save," he said, patting my shoulder with calculated ease. "Preparing a legacy for the next generation, I see." "This is a home," I replied evenly. "Not an investment portfolio." Veronica chuckled softly. Then, "Lily won't have to worry about her future. Quite a convenient beginning, wouldn't you say?" "Dinner's almost ready," I said, keeping my tone steady. "Let's talk in the living room." As they walked, Raul's eyes darted around, inspecting every corner, every frame, every keepsake as if he were choosing which ones to take. Veronica's faint smile lingered like watered-down wine. Lily squeezed my hand and whispered, "Dad, don't be so serious. People get married young all the time. Diego understands me better than anyone." Diego smirked. "I didn't come to ask permission, sir. I came to inform you because we belong together." My hand clenched so tightly my nails dug into my skin. The soldier in me stirred. I had seen that look before, the look of a man about to seize land. They spread through my house like water through cracks, and in that moment I realized something chilling. The stranger here wasn't him, it was me. The light from the dining table reflected off the polished wood, scattering across the crystal glasses like dozens of transparent eyes watching every move. A faint draft slipped through the doorframe, stirring the curtain the soft, eerie breath of someone eavesdropping. Camila's chair creaked sharply, the sound dry and hollow, as if she herself were protesting the intruder who had dared to take her place. The heavy perfume of Veronica mixed with the smell of simmering tomato sauce and freshly opened wine, creating a dense, suffocating air that turned my stomach. On the wall, the clock ticked in steady rhythm, as though counting down to the moment every mask would fall. Raoul rummaged through my bookshelf, flipping through titles, even lifting one to his nose as if he could sniff out the scent of money soaked into the pages. Diego guided Lily to the sofa but remained standing, chest puffed, positioning himself like a barrier between me and my daughter. "I'd like to hear about the proposal," I said, taking my seat. "It seems a little rushed." "Love has no concept of time," Diego replied. The line sounded rehearsed. "I met Lily at the Cartel Coffee Lab on First Avenue, and I knew instantly she was meant to be my wife. There's no Cartel Coffee Lab on First Avenue in that part of town." I kept my expression calm. "Strange," I said evenly. "I pass by there every day and haven't seen that cafe." Diego's smile faltered for half a second. "Opportunities often appear where we least expect them, sir." "It was magical, Dad," Lily added, holding up her hand to admire the ring. Raoul had drifted toward the wall of military photos. "You served the country, Mr. Walker. I imagine the benefits must be quite something." "For a time," I replied, watching him discreetly snap a photo of my discharge papers. He cleared his throat mockingly. "Heroes of every era know how to make use of their reputations, don't they?" Veronica leaned forward. "Lily told us your wife passed away. I'm so sorry. At least the insurance must have left something useful for the transition." The transition, as if Camila's death from cancer had been a corporate restructuring. "We've managed," I said quietly. "A good man is often lonely," Veronica smirked. "At least you still have this lovely house to keep you warm." Diego's phone vibrated. The glow from the screen lit his face like an interrogation lamp. He typed quickly. The message was in Spanish. I caught the name Elena. "Your parents flew in from Mexico?" I asked. "From Scottsdale," Raoul corrected smoothly. "We've lived there for years." "I remember you said Tempe when we first met," Lily frowned. "We move around a lot," Diego replied easily. "Tempe, Scottsdale, Chandler. My father's business requires it." He smiled at Lily, tone syrupy. "You're adorable. You notice everything like a detective." "What business is that?" I asked Raoul. "Import and export," he said vaguely. "Very successful, completely legal. If it weren't, I wouldn't be sitting here." He winked awkwardly. Veronica suddenly stood. "We should celebrate. A house like this deserves champagne." "I have wine," I said, "from my private collection." Raoul's eyes lit up. "A collection, you say?" "Of course. A man of taste should have fine taste in everything." He instinctively opened cabinets like a homeowner taking inventory. "They're not here," I said evenly. "I'll show you." They followed, their eyes still scanning every corner. "This way," I said, deliberately turning back just as Raoul thought I'd gone ahead. His hand rested on Diego's shoulder as he whispered sharply in Spanish, pointing toward the walls and furniture, quietly calculating value. I pretended not to understand. I pulled out a bottle. 2005 Chateau Margaux, saved for a special occasion. Raoul's eyes widened. Greed flashed like a blade. "Expensive taste. I bought a few cases in Lyon once, the kind of wine that makes people tell the truth." "Dad collects wine," Lily said beside Diego. "Mom started the tradition." We moved to the dining room. Veronica chose the seat nearest me, a strategic position. Raoul sat opposite his son and Lily, forming a triangulated formation, an interrogation squad closing in. The cork popped softly. I poured deliberately, noting how Raoul nearly swallowed his own breath as the crimson liquid streamed into the glass. He grabbed it before I could serve anyone else. "Tell us your love story," Veronica urged, her eyes examining the wine's color as though pricing it. Diego began again, same script. "I bought coffee at Cartel Coffee Lab," saw Lily reading, the sunlight on her hair. "There's no sunlight inside that cafe, the one that doesn't even exist." I refilled my glass. "It was cloudy that day," Lily giggled. But everything else was perfect. Yes, Diego corrected himself instantly. Cloudy, but she still shone. When was this? I leaned back. January 16th, Diego said. January 7th, Lily answered at the same time. They exchanged glances. Diego laughed nervously. Love makes time blur. Every day feels like the first. Veronica took Lily's hand, tilting the ring under the light. Beautiful clarity. At least $35,000. Mom, Diego hissed softly, losing confidence. For the insurance file, darling, Veronica said sweetly. Ethan will include it in his portfolio, that's certain, not hypothetical. Raoul drained his glass. I refilled it. He asked, Your freight company must have government contracts, right? Those pay best. I transport goods, not shortcuts, I replied, carrying out the appetizer's soup from Lily's grandmother's recipe. Federal contracts are guaranteed pay, Raoul pressed. Perfect for a man securing his daughter's future. Diego's phone vibrated again. His jaw tensed as he read. Another message in Spanish. I caught the word urgent before he turned the screen face down. Everything all right? I asked. Just work, he muttered. The dealership keeps calling. Which dealership? I asked, though I already knew. Toyota North Phoenix, he said. I thought you said Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale, Lily frowned. I've worked at both, Diego covered. Just transferred recently. Veronica jumped in smoothly. Ethan, you must have good life insurance. Freight is risky business. Dad's been doing this 30 years, Lily defended. He's careful. Accidents happen, Raoul said gravely, then added quickly, I mean preparation is everything. We've seen strong men vanish after a single wrong turn. The main course arrived enchiladas, Camila's recipe. Veronica took a bite, then murmured in Spanish, not quite under her breath. This American version, cooked with memory, not skill. Then, smiling sweetly in English, delicious, dear. Your visa status? I asked Diego directly. Lily said you're from Mexico. The table went still. Raoul's hand froze mid-air. My visa is complicated, Diego said carefully. Everything's legal, Raoul interrupted too fast. My son has all his papers. My father's business is completely legal, Diego added, which had nothing to do with my question. Veronica touched my arm lightly. Family is what matters. Papers are just procedure. Of course, I nodded, noting how all three relaxed in unison. By dessert, the conversation turned to wedding plans. Each time Lily mentioned a detail, they muttered numbers under their breath. 25,000 for the venue, 16 for catering. The total ballooned with every sip. Don't be cheap, Veronica joked, half serious. When an older man pays, people expect to see quality. We'll contribute, Raoul said generously. We're practically family now. Your success is our success. He raised his glass. To a lasting alliance, we all want to win, don't we? A stack of papers slipped from Diego's jacket as he reached for the bottle, official-looking, topped with the USCIS logo. He snatched them back immediately, shoving them deep into his pocket. Work documents, he said quickly. I used to carry papers on the battlefield too, I said evenly, my voice calm but edged with steel. But my hands didn't shake like yours. Raoul downed his fourth glass, his face flushed, his guard fading. Time waits for no one, he muttered. We must move fast with the plan. Papa, Diego warned. Raoul waved him off, eyes flashing meaning. Some opportunities never come twice. I stood to fetch more dessert, my movements calm, though my pulse pounded. Behind me, they switched to rapid Spanish. Raoul issued orders. Veronica calculated. Diego hesitated. Their voices overlapped, scheming, weighing, threatening a symphony of deceit. The knife hovered above the cake. Every muscle in my body tensed to react, but I kept the same polite smile, the face of a harmless host preparing dessert for a pack of wolves who thought they'd found a sheep. I had barely brought out the cake when their Spanish flooded the dining room. The knife hissed across the porcelain, each cut reopening an old wound. The ceiling light flickered at the exact moment the phrase "green card plan" slipped out, like a bad omen crawling down my spine. The wall clock suddenly struck harder, compressing the countdown. The air conditioner breathed a cold draft that fogged the glass, turning my dining room into an isolated interrogation room inside my own home. The dog that usually napped under the cabinet froze, growling when Raoul mentioned half the assets. Every word reached my ears. I translated in my head while keeping my face calm. "The old man's daughter is perfect for the green card plan," Raoul said, not even bothering to lower his voice. 4 years of marriage, then the divorce. She gets a broken heart. We get citizenship and half the assets. They went on. "She's a nurse," Veronica said, eyes darting. "The kind who believes whatever's printed on a cartel coffee lab cup. Say it with sincerity, and she'll sign her life away." In my head, something snapped enough. My girl had shed enough tears. Look how she gazed at Diego blind. But on the outside, I kept slicing the cake evenly, portions measured. Mental notes: 4 years, half the assets, USCIS urgent, Elena. "Papa, I told you Elena is pregnant." Diego lowered his voice. Raoul flicked his hand, cold as steel. "There are plenty of babies. New citizenship is rare. Forget the girl. Do your duty to the family. She can wait, or later, find another after you're divorced and rich." I suddenly remembered Camila, who taught me Spanish on my first assignment in Santo Domingo. "Escucha," she used to say. "Listen more than you speak." 2 years at Fort Huachuca, but it was her family who taught me how to live, who made me fluent in their language and culture. Counterintelligence rule: hear everything, don't interrupt, record in your head, trace the chain. Fallujah taught me this. Anger must be cold, only cold hands shoot straight. Signal word: mamare, be silent, observe, spring the trap. "What about the freight company?" Veronica asked, as casually as asking the price of meat. "There must be shares factored into a divorce, right?" "Half the assets," Raoul nodded. "Arizona's community property too, so divorce splits everything. Besides, that old man will give Diego a job anyway. Americans overvalue family." "What are you all talking about?" Lily cut in cheerfully, breaking the flow. "Just family memories, mi amor." Diego switched to English instantly, as smoothly as pressing a button. Papa was reminiscing about my childhood. I plated each slice, looking them straight in the eye. Raoul chewed a huge bite without swallowing, talking and pointing, the kind of man who eats off other people's bones. Veronica traced the rim of her crystal glass with a red-painted nail, the dry squeal like claws on a wall. Diego blinked rapidly every time he lied the tell of panic. Lily went to the kitchen to brew tea. They slipped back into Spanish. "This house is at least 3 million, Raoul estimated. Add the company, the wine collection, and he probably holds stocks and bonds." "We have to move fast," Veronica said, "before he suspects anything. The wedding should happen within 2 months. 2 months is too fast, Diego objected. She'll ask why we're rushing. Tell her you can't wait to start your life together, Veronica instructed with a sneer. Women love that kind of foolish romance. Lily returned with a pot of herbal tea, humming a warm melody counterpointed by the phrase wedding, immigration, that had just been spoken. The conversation shifted fully to English. Her mother was beautiful. Veronica gestured toward the family photos on the wall. Was she Mexican? Santo Domingo, I answered, deliberately pausing before I said it. Veronica's lip twitched, a smile cracking to show its fang. Diego's eyes flicked toward me, a flash of fear. Does he understand everything? How much did he hear? She must have taught you our culture, Raoul probed. A bit, I said vaguely. She passed when Lily was 19. Their faces softened. A grieving widower, he probably doesn't use Spanish much anymore. Life insurance must have helped a lot, Veronica cooed, her compliment sharp as mockery. So thoughtful, a woman who dies and still provides for her family's future. We had good insurance, I confirmed, pouring more wine. Camila insisted I buy it. Raoul raised his glass, smirking. To new beginnings and profitable endings. The alcohol hit. Raoul's mouth began to slip its leash. He switched back to Spanish, forgetting I understood. The old man's girl is pretty too. Diego won't suffer. 4 years of pretending isn't so bad for a few million. I can't have a child with her, Diego scowled. I can't betray Elena any further. You'll do whatever it takes, Raúl growled. If there's a child, the divorce gets easier. Courts favor the mother. She keeps the kid, and we keep the money. I gripped the bottle until my knuckles cracked, but my face stayed placid. Camila's voice rang in my head. Knowledge is only power when they don't know you have it. More cake? I asked in English, voice flat as a still lake. You're so kind. Veronica flattered, though minutes earlier she'd called me an easy mark in Spanish. I served second helpings. My mind shifted into operations mode. A silent montage, the knife's hiss. Spanish whispers, the clock's pulse, the light's faint flicker, the dog's low growl. The wineglass reflected 2 faces of me, the harmless host and the operative whose lock had just clicked open. We should discuss a wedding venue, Lily said brightly. Diego wants it big. Of course, Raúl answered in English, then leaned in to mutter in Spanish. Lavish weddings look excellent in immigration files. The evening drifted on in schemes. They said dates, venues, guest lists, English small talk braided with Spanish appraisals of my net worth. The prenup will be an obstacle, Veronica whispered. We have to make him refuse to sign. Tell her a prenup means you don't believe in love, Raúl pressed Diego. She'll convince her father herself. At the door, they morphed back into a model family. Diego kissed Lily deeply. His parents beamed behind him. My girl melted in his arms, too trusting, too in love with an illusion. Raúl shook my hand 2 pumps, hard pressure. Hopefully next time we'll get some signatures. An honor to join your family, Ethan. Welcome to the family, I replied, matching his grip. The door closed. The dining room's warm light went dark. The kitchen's stark white snapped on like an exam lamp. I reached for my phone. They had just made a fatal mistake. They had declared war on a Marine who'd done intelligence work. I dialed Jack X Ice, now a private investigator who owed me a few favors. 1 ring. Ethan, it's late, buddy. I need you, I said, glancing out the window. The Alvarez family climbed into a rented Lexus. Dig deep into their backgrounds. 3 from Mexico, possibly here illegally, planning marriage fraud with my daughter. They picked the wrong family, I murmured. Outside, Raúl stuck his head out the car door, pointing, probably tallying future assets. The next morning, 9:15 a.m., I pushed open the office door. Jack was already there, DEFCON 1. My home security footage was playing on his laptop. His leather boots were propped on the desk. How long you been here? 8. He didn't look up. Your security system needs an upgrade, and your future son-in-law trouble. The way he stood between you and your daughter, classic target isolation tactic. Jack was 61, older but still razor-sharp, close-cropped hair, blue eyes as cold as his days at Pendleton. 23 years at ICE had carved skepticism into his face enough that suspects confessed just to stop him from staring at them. Coffee's cold, he pointed at the pot. I ignored it, looking down at the yard. 3 crews loading freight, the business I built from nothing after the Corps. Camila had rolled paint on this office's walls when we started. They called me a fool, Jack, in my own house. All right, he dropped his feet. Tell me everything. I told him the whole dinner, detail by detail. When I repeated Raúl's Spanish word for word, Jack's brows knit. Since when do you speak Spanish? Santo Domingo, 2 years at Fort Huachuca. Camila's family taught me. After she died, I had no reason to use it. His fingers flew over the keys. Starting with Diego Alvarez. Data scrolled. Bdos visa entry un tercio. Expires 2 just over 30 days left. He's desperate. Next, Raúl Alvarez was deported in 2019 for aggravated assault and is currently in the U.S. unlawfully. He has ties to the Sinaloa cartel, laundering money through used car dealerships. That's also why his son worked at Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale, a node in that network. What about Veronica, investigated for marriage fraud in 2020? but the case was dropped for lack of evidence. Another window popped. Diego's real surname isn't Alvarez on one record, but Ramirez. The father listed on the birth certificate is someone else. My phone buzzed Lily, asking about wedding venues. I set it face down. Jack opened Facebook and said, "Sometimes social beats databases." He showed me the account of Elena Cruz, a young woman, visibly pregnant. A post dated 1/10 read, "Can't wait for Diego to come back from his work trip. Our baby needs his father." A chill ran through me, the same cold that once kept me alive in Fallujah. "We could bust them now," Jack said. "I still have contacts at the ICE Phoenix field office." "No," I shook my head. "They'll claim misunderstanding. Diego will bolt to Nogales and find another victim. We give them exactly what they want and make them sign their own confession." Jack's mouth curved. "And the money counter will also count their years behind bars." I grabbed a legal pad and sketched the plan. "Remember the Rodriguez sting? Use the shell company." Jack nodded. "Copper Canyon Holdings is still active. Find us space on Camelback Road, Camelback Center. Month-to-month lease." He fired off a text. "Done. The specifics? Create an investment opportunity tied to a federal contract requiring a minority-owned partner. Say the profits are huge, but we need a deposit. The cash will be marked, hidden cameras in place, and the documents will look real but contain clauses that incriminate them." "The deposit?" $40,000. Enough to hurt, not enough to spook." "Raul doesn't trust banks," Jack said. "He'll bring cash." "And Lily? We can't tell her yet. If she knows now, her world collapses." "I'll tell her after when they're cuffed." Jack's phone rang again. He listened, then reported, "Border Patrol confirms. They've pulled this with another crew, 4 cases in California, 1 in Arizona. 5 victims have come forward, all divorced, just shy of 4 years and lost significant assets." I tapped the wall lightly, splitting the skin. Blood smudged the drywall. Jack handed me a towel. "We'll use blood if we have to," he reminded me. "Use the federal contract angle, require matching capital." "Friday?" "Friday." Jack scanned a tip from a contact. "Diego hits Roca Accor Scottsdale every Wednesday night. Today's Monday. You show up that night. A. You need to look like a man who just had a windfall, a little drunk, easy to exploit. I'll prep backup recorders, hire a couple of off-duty cops to pose as staff. Whatever it costs. You sure? There's cartel risk here." I thought of Lily, the smile she gave Diego, the future she'd drawn in her head. They sat at Camila's table and plotted to tear my family apart. "So we're locked in?" Jack asked. "Call it a promise." I checked my watch. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. I'll need bourbon-scented lozenges. Jack chuckled. "Like Tijuana, only this time it's personal." He paused at the door. "And Elena?" "The plan is clear. The moment the cash changes hands and the confession is on tape, we bring her in. Let her confront Diego face to face. Sometimes justice requires a little cruelty." I looked at Camila's photo on the desk. "They toyed with other people's hearts, so let them answer to a pregnant woman why her husband is about to marry someone else." Jack left. I sat there, staring at the plaques on the wall. 22 years in freight now, I was about to ram a fraud family off the road. The phone rang. "Lily. Dad, Diego invited you to dinner on Wednesday night. Are you free?" "Sorry, honey, I have a meeting that night." "Oh, what about Saturday?" "Maybe." Wednesday would be the meeting. Just not the kind she thought. 2 days of prep put me at Roca Accor Scottsdale right at 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday. Out in the lot, I rinsed with bourbon-scented mouthwash and sprayed a little on my collar. That fake metal smell clung like a signal, a guy who just hit it big and wants everyone to know. The valet took the keys to Jack's Porsche, a necessary prop. I walked in, deliberately a touch unsteady. Not drunk, just indulgent, the gait of a businessman celebrating alone. Restaurant lights fractured faces into shards on the glass. At the corner of the counter, Diego's face broke into layers, the look of a man with many masks. Lofi House thumped a low bass like the room's heartbeat. The sashimi knife whispered through flesh, swish clean as a signature writing fate. "Welcome to Roca Accor." Do you have a reservation? The hostess smiled. The bar is fine, I drawled slightly. Big night, just one big. She looked me over and gave a small smile. Congratulations. Tonight everything belongs to me, I answered, half joke, half truth. The sushi counter gleamed under dim light. Scottsdale's business crowd lined the seats, deals floating by with each shot of sake. I spotted Diego at the bar's corner, nibbling tuna and glancing at his phone. I squeezed in, accidentally, bumping his shoulder while reaching for a menu. Sorry. Diego? Diego Alvarez? His face flickered, surprise calculation, friendly fake warmth. Mr. Walker, Ethan, my future father-in-law. I set a hand on his shoulder. Let me buy you a drink. No, let me buy your whole dinner. Oh, that's not necessary. Nonsense. I signaled the bartender. Sake the most expensive. We're celebrating. He set his phone down, carefully. Celebrating what? I leaned in, lowered my voice like sharing a secret, letting the sake breath mist his face. Keep it quiet. Don't tell Lily. His eyes lit. Of course. 3 million. I fumbled out my phone. See this? Federal contract. Won the bid today. 3 million. The bass seemed to drop a notch, as if the room made space for the number. On screen, the dossier Jack mocked up. Department of Defense, letterhead, seals, hypnotic figures. Incredible. Diego exhaled. He licked the corner of his mouth, thumb stroking the rim of his glass, the tell of greed flipping on. His other finger hovered over his phone. The problem is, I waved for more sake, federal contracts have requirements. Need a minority-owned partner, diversity standards, all that. I gave a dry laugh. Me, a successful white guy, can't even sign my own contract. I win, but the rules don't like my skin tone. He texted in Spanish, Papa, ahora sí podemos ayudar. My father has a company, logistics experience, import-export, very diversified, he offered. It has to be a Latino-owned company with lawful paperwork. I waved him off. The feds are strict. I break out in hives at the word illegal. All my father's businesses are absolutely legal. Diego purred. The sake arrived. I poured with a purposeful wobble, letting a thin spill stripe the counter, for luck also, to mark the scene. We clinked. I ordered sushi, just pointed at the priciest items like I couldn't focus. Diego kept texting. In under 30 minutes, Raul walked in. The revolving door pushed a gust that slapped a cocktail napkin onto his heel, a small bad omen. Papa! Diego jumped up. What a coincidence, Raul performed. My son and Mr. Walker, wonderful. I stood too quickly and had to grab the bar. Sit, I'm celebrating. Raul slid in beside me, patted my back like he was staking territory, pinning me between father and son, the classic vise. What's the occasion? I ran the script, embellishing. Military freight contract. My company perfect except for one point, a minority partner required to qualify. Such an unfair requirement, Raul feigned sympathy, eyes shining with ambition. Times are unfair to the successful. Unfair to whom? I snapped. Depends on who counts the money. Need to put up 40,000. I produced another fake packet. But the returns, I showed the projections, 400,000 in 4 months. The two traded a glance. But Lily can't know, I rasped. I want to surprise her. Wedding gift. Start a college fund for a few grandkids. My eyes watered. Camila would have loved that. Of course, Raul soothed. Family matters stay in the family. Perfect. I raised my glass. To new beginnings, Raul lifted his. And endings in the right place, I touched back. I ordered more sake, more sushi, flashed a fake statement with a $2.3 million cash balance. Money isn't the issue is partnering with the right people. We can be that partner, Raul said, measured. Really? I clasped his hand. House money fast as salmon in flood season. When do you need the investment? Diego asked. March 1st, partner filing deadline. I dug in my wallet and tipped the bartender an extra 300. Cash means nothing without family to share it. Raoul steadied my arm. You shouldn't drive. Have a driver? I lied. I do. If you're serious, I swayed. The office, Copper Canyon Holdings, March 1st, 1:30 p.m. We'll be there, Raoul promised. I turned, then looked back. Bring cash. The government tracks everything else. There are tax advantages too. I winked. Outside, I kept the stagger until their BMW pulled out. Then I straightened, walked normally to the garage, and texted Jack. The fish has bitten. Inside, Raoul spoke quickly in Spanish. Does the girl suspect anything? Nothing, Papa. She's completely in love. Good. 40,000 in, tenfold return. Even half that is profit. They didn't know I'd tucked a recording phone under the napkin. The REC light blinked once and went dark, the eye of justice. Jack would retrieve it. Every word was captured. March 1, 1:30 p.m. I sat before the security monitors as Diego's BMW rolled into the garage at Camelback Center. In the lobby, the reflections of 3 off-duty officers shimmered on the glass radios tucked at their belts, present without being obvious. Jack, disguised as attorney James Morrison, squared the files on the conference table. Actors in position? I asked. 3 off-duty cops playing staff. Set looks perfect. Jack adjusted his tie. Hidden cams rolling, multiple angles. Escape plan ABC. Stairs to the left. Code change the lights triggers the arrest team. The office looked real. Month-to-month furniture, mock plaques, borrowed PCs humming behind glass. The legit firms on the floor unwittingly provided our backdrop. Ding. Elevator doors opened. Diego and Raoul stepped out, a black duffel in Raoul's hand. Veronica stayed home, probably tallying the millions they thought were coming. Welcome to Copper Canyon Holdings, I boomed. All business. Mr. Walker. Diego shook my hand, as excited as if he were about to make history. Family history, I corrected, guiding them in. Mr. Morrison, our new partners. Jack stood, pure corporate counsel. Please, sit. Today we execute some important documents. The duffel thumped onto the table. Raoul unzipped. Old money smell rose metallic damp. Bricks of cash, tight-banded. 40,000, as agreed. Excellent. Jack spread a blotter. Standard partnership agreement. Mr. and Mr. Alvarez. Please read and sign where marked. Blutter. Blutter inflate. Azzy. Blutter. He set a recorder in plain view, the posture of no need to hide. The packet was a masterpiece, full legalese with baked-in self-incrimination. Jack read slowly, part cautious attorney, part director, making sure the audience heard the trap. Page 3. Sub 1 ampere. The partner acknowledges the investment is intended to establish a lawful business presence to service national defense. Page 7. Any statements regarding legal status shall be deemed false if proven otherwise, grounds for referral to appropriate authorities. Diego signed too fast, pen lifting short, impatient greed. Raoul hesitated exactly half a beat at 1 ampere, then skimmed calculated carelessness. They initialed every page, each mark a nod toward future handcuffs. Now, Jack said, investment transfer requires verbal and written confirmation. He slid the recorder forward. Speak up, like when people count money. State your name and the investment amount. Diego Alvarez investing $40,000. Raoul Alvarez investing $40,000. Click. Confession, both in ink and in voice. I counted bills slowly while Jack shot serials. 1, 2, 3. A funeral rite for their freedom. Each note was pre-marked numbers written in blood. Time for champagne. I filled their glasses. To our children's future, Raoul lifted his. They drank. Diego snapped a selfie with the contract. Raoul called Veronica in Spanish. Done. We're officially partners in the freight company. When do profits hit? First payout in 20 days, Jack pointed at Section 6B. And the federal contract finalizes once the partner certificate posts tomorrow morning. A staffer knocked. Mr. Walker, Scottsdale is on the line about the freight project. Good. Tell them to stand by. Just like rehearsal. Diego practically glowed. Is this real? Family helping family. Of course. I set a hand on his shoulder. They moved to leave. Raúl zipped the duffel, now empty. At the door, Diego turned back. "Don't tell Lily about this. Our secret. I want to surprise her with a wedding fund." "You're a good father," Raúl said. Hard to tell if he was acting. They left elated. From the window, I watched BMW tire treads stamp into still damp concrete, the fingerprint of greed. Jack started breaking down the gear. "How long before they figure it out?" he asked. "They won't get the chance." I opened contacts, scrolled to the Mexico code. "Hello, Miss Elena Cruz. I'm Ethan Walker in Phoenix, Arizona. Your flight lands at 3:15 tomorrow. I'll have a car meet you and arrange lodging." Jack arched a brow. "That's right. Diego must not know you're coming. That's crucial. Bring all photos, messages, prenatal records." Elena's voice crackled but cooperative. Spanish keywords, embarazada, mensajes, pruebas, hit on cue. "No, all expenses are covered. Just be ready to face some hard truths." I hung up. Jack sealed the evidence bag, each brick of cash tagged and logged. "Tomorrow? Lily's about to meet Diego's actual fiancé. A family dinner with a special guest. Final step. ICE hits the Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale dealership. You think of everything. Intel guys always do. I lifted one contract, Diego's bold signature at the bottom. They tried to steal my daughter's future. Now they've signed their own removal order. The phone at Walker Freight and Logistics rang for real. "Mr. Walker, this is Detective Grant with the Phoenix Police Department. We've been tracking Raúl Alvarez in a larger investigation. We understand you've had contact." I looked at Jack and smiled. The evidence we just generated was already working its way into their web. "Detective, you're going to want to see what we recorded today." Outside the window, the Phoenix skyline blazed in the April Sunday. Somewhere, Diego and Raúl were toasting a successful score. Somewhere else, Lily was innocently sketching wedding plans with a man who didn't exist. A week crawled by before everything cracked. On Friday night, March 8th at 8, I was watching garage cam footage when my phone lit a video call. Lily's face appeared, mascara a little smudged, hands shaking around a stack of papers. "Dad, I found something." "No, a lot of things." In the bathroom behind her, water roared. Diego was in the shower. My girl was smart enough to wait till he couldn't hear. "What is it, honey?" She held up papers. Visa expiration, the very notice Jack had warned about. "His visa expires today." "Today?" "But he said he had a green card." "There's more." Paper rustled. Another sheet. Different surname, Ramirez, not Alvarez. I feigned surprise. "That's strange." "And this. A $40,000 withdrawal slip dated March 1st. Where did he get $40,000, Dad?" "The water shut off. We both heard it." "Put everything back exactly how you found it," I said quickly. "There's a second phone," she whispered, "hidden in the sock drawer. Messages in Spanish. I can't read them, but one name repeats Elena." My chest tightened. She was closing on the truth faster than the plan. "Photograph everything. Send it to me. I'll translate." Her fingers flew across two screens. Screenshots came in chats with Elena, heart emojis stacked all recent. "Honey, you done yet?" Diego's voice from the bathroom. "Almost," Lily answered, bright and false. She glanced at me through the camera. "Dad, what's happening?" "Come to dinner Sunday. Bring Diego. Act normal." "Normal? Dad, I think my fiancé." The bathroom door swung open, steam spilling out. "Who's that?" Diego, towel around his waist. "My dad." Lily kept her tone even. "About Sunday dinner." His face tightened. He held out his hand. "Let me talk to him." The phone jolted as he took it. His face loomed into the lens. "Ethan, my future father-in-law, about that investment opportunity." "I don't know what you're talking about." I kept neutral. "The thing we discussed with my father, how are returns looking?" "I don't understand you, son." His jaw flexed. "The 40,000. Our partnership." "Diego, I think you're mistaken. Sunday." "No, now. Is not now." "What's wrong?" Lily stepped back into frame. The drawer was closed again. Her face held only clear worry. "Mi amor, everything's perfect," he said, voice edged. Then back to me. Sunday, we talk. I look forward to it, I said. He hung up without a goodbye. More screenshots poured in from Lily, Spanish threads between Diego and Elena, photos together, plans. The latest line from yesterday, just one more month, love. Then the divorce, and we'll be together. I called Jack. Lily has sensed something's off. How far? Far enough to suspect. Not enough to be safe. I forwarded the images. Diego's desperate. Visa expired, money burned, no answers. Push the timeline up? No. Elena isn't ready yet. But put 24/7 surveillance on Lily. If Diego threatens, loop in Phoenix PD. Raul is probing your schedule. Let him look, I said. He'll see exactly what we want him to see. You sure Sunday dinner is wise? Cornered animals are dangerous. They're not cornered yet. They still think they're winning. I opened the contract they'd signed. The casual sentences but confessions all the same. Soon they'd learn what it means to be the ones backed into a corner. The girl from Mexico is at the hotel. Confirmed. 6 months pregnant, and she wants the truth. This will break Lily. I remembered her shaking hands, her cracking voice. She had already started to shatter. But better the truth come from me than from them. Sunday night. Make sure the team is ready. You expecting violence? I'm expecting desperation, and in my experience, those two look the same. I sat in the dark, staring at Camila's photo. Would you approve me, amor? Would you understand? My phone lit. Dad, I'm scared. Trust me, this Sunday, everything will be clear. I don't think I can pretend for a few more days. You're stronger than you think. You're your mother's daughter. 3 dots, gone, back again. Finally. He's coming back now. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. I set the phone down and opened the safe. Beside Camila's jewelry and our wedding photo lay my service pistol. I had cleaned it that morning. They thought they'd just bought a shortcut into America. I had just bought a straight line to the interrogation room. March 10 arrived with thunderstorms, weather perfectly suited to what was about to unfold. In the lobby of the Hyatt Regency Phoenix, each whoosh of the automatic doors breathed cold air outward, like the lungs of a beast waiting for the hunt. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance, right on cue as I looked down at the name placard in my hand. Elena Cruz. Jack stood beside me, rain speckling his jacket. The hotel's sterile essential oils contrasted with damp raincoats and storm wind, 2 worlds about to collide. Then she came down the escalator, one hand over her belly, protective. 6 months pregnant, tired, but beautiful in a fragile way that made her look younger than 27. Mr. Walker. Her English carried a Mexican lilt, but it was clear and steady. I am, Miss Cruz. This is Jack Torres, my associate. We brought her to the hotel restaurant. Please, sit, I said. You must be exhausted. The recording device sat in plain sight, non-threatening. When I powered it on, a tiny beep sounded a reminder that from here on, even gentleness would become evidence. She touched the edge of the chair as if finding her balance, then looked at me. Mateo. He doesn't know I'm here. No, I said. She pulled out her phone. A fine crack ran across a corner of the screen, the trace of long nights waiting, and held it out. He stopped answering weeks ago. After years of promises, Jack poured water to exactly 2/3 of the glass, neither spilling nor short, then handed it to her, an island of calm in the chaos. Tell us about your relationship, he said. The story spilled out in English, threaded with Spanish, tinged with the cadence of León. Guanajuato. They'd known each other since they were young, grew up in the same neighborhood, had been in love since she was 18. Diego's mother, Veronica, is my cousin. She brought us together at her daughter's quinceañera. I paused. Lightning flashed on the glass. Veronica is your cousin? A new puzzle piece locked into the frame. She nodded. She said she would help. Diego needed papers first, then he'd bring me. Inside my head, the family line tied itself fast. They called fraud, helping family. Elena opened her bag and laid out a neat spread of documents and photos. Christmas 2021, 2022, 2023. Jack tilted the camera. Timestamps showed clearly on the screen. In every picture, Diego smiled with his eyes at her, the kind of true smile Lily had never once received. "When did he say he'd bring you to the U.S.?" I asked. "In January. His father said there was a business opportunity. Just a few months, get the papers, then he'd come for me." She opened WhatsApp. The chat bloomed with words the lens captured in bold relief. "Mi amor, papá papeles." Messages every day until mid-February. I read each line aloud for the record: dates, times, content. Jack marked milestones: passport number, past flight times, ultrasound schedule. The chain of proof tightened. Diego's promises were meticulous. The house they'd buy, the school for their child, that he was doing everything for their future. And the baby? I softened my voice. Her face lit despite wet lashes. He was so happy. "Look." She played a sonogram video. Fetal heartbeat crackled through the phone speaker and braided with the rain a duet of life and threat. Diego's voice threaded the clip in rapid Spanish, calling himself Papa again and again. That was December, before he left. Tears fell. He said marrying for a green card meant nothing. It was just paperwork, just business. "Did he mention the other woman by name?" I asked. "No. He only said she was an American nurse. Nothing important," he told me. Her deep dark eyes lifted. "Is she pretty?" I hesitated. "Will your daughter hate me?" "No. My girl hates the dark. You're bringing light." She nodded, whispered a Spanish prayer, palm circling her belly. "Que nazca limpio, no con mentiras." May the child be born clean, not with lies. His father, Raúl, threatened to disown him if Diego didn't follow the plan, she added. Jack leaned in. Precisely what plan? Marry an American woman, get a green card, wait 4 years for citizenship, divorce, take the money. She squared the papers as if reading an indictment. Raúl has done this before 4 women in California, 1 in Arizona. It's the family business. Jack and I exchanged a look. The file had just grown wider than we'd mapped. A server rolled over steak and 3 place settings. While we ate, she offered more proof. Small transfers Diego sent before leaving Mexico, regular, then stopping cold in February. When he got engaged, I said. Elena startled. Engaged? He used that word with her? Yes. Never with me. 5 years together and no engagement. He said love didn't need papers. She gave a brittle laugh. Turns out papers are only necessary for American women. I have to ask. The 40,000 Diego suddenly had, where did it come from? 40,000? We didn't have any money. That's why he left. I showed her the $40,000 withdrawal slip Lily had photographed, stamped 3/1. Her face paled. He told me we had nothing. Maybe I and the baby are nothing. No, I said slowly. They are nothing when the lights come on. That money must be from his father. He called it an investment, she guessed. Investment in what? I exhaled. Jack opened a witness protection intake. Elena, will you agree to be filmed and to testify? She signed the consent form. He handed her a single-use phone with an emergency number and code signals. Green light equals safe. Change the lights equals we intervene. We locked in a prenatal checkup near the hotel. The health of mother and child came first. My phone vibrated. A text from Diego. We need to talk about the investment. Where's my money? I replied, cold. What investment? You have the wrong number. Instant response. Don't play games, old man. We have a contract. Dinner 3/13. We'll discuss everything. 3 dots, then another. And we'll discuss more than that. You owe us. I screenshotted and labeled it Evidence Financial Threat, placing it right before Elena to show her she was protected. Jack's phone buzzed with a missed call from an unknown number, likely Raúl. Jack didn't answer, just flagged the risk. I turned back to Elena. There won't be any wedding, but there will be justice. Are you ready to face him? In person, with witnesses and police on hand. She set both palms on her belly, drawing strength from the life within. Yes, I'm not the other woman. I'm the first one he betrayed. For my child, I'm ready. The confrontation will be March 13. We have 3 days to prepare. What do I do until then? Rest. Document everything. Rehearse what you'll say. You're safe here. As we reached the doors, she called after me. Your daughter. She loves him for real. I remembered Lily's hands shaking as she scrolled through the files. She loves the man she thinks he is. I know that feeling, Elena whispered. Jack spoke low. 3 days is enough to coordinate ICE, the Phoenix Police Department, and the FBI, if the cartel link solidifies. March 13, I confirmed. Family dinner, everyone at the same table. That's going to explode. Yes, that's exactly the point. Out by the garage, thunder cracked close. Lightning washed everything white. Diego wanted to wreck my family at my dining table, I said. So it's only fitting I give him that exact gift back. March 13 arrived like a sentence being read. The sky was the color of lead. Thunder rolled in the distance like drums opening a trial. 6:30 p.m. Through the window, I saw 3 cars arrive at once, headlights sweeping straight across the glass and then skimming the frame of Camila's photo like a ghost rising to testify. The door opened. A gust carried rain across the dining table. The cloth trembled as if promising blood. The ceiling light flickered once, as though the wiring itself were tense. Raúl stepped in first, face flushed, trying to choke down his anger. His shoes hit the floor in heavy strikes, a marching beat into occupied ground. Veronica followed, eyes cold. Diego came last, gripping Lily's hand too tightly. His thumb pressed so hard it left a red groove on her wrist as they climbed the walkway. I opened the door before they could knock. Raúl barged in without a greeting. Where's our money, old man? I kept my voice even. Good evening, Raúl. Dinner is ready. We didn't come to eat. The wine glass on the table shivered when he barked. He stalked around the living room, where Lily sat rigid. $40,000. 20 days. You said 20 days. Veronica claimed Camila's chair again, stroking the armrest as if tracing a cut across the soul of the dead. The investment should have yielded by now. What investment? Lily asked, eyes drifting between them. Nothing, mi amor, Diego said quickly, but the hand on her shoulder clenched, the violence beneath the charm finally showing. Men's business, Raúl snapped. A federal contract. Where's the return? I poured water with a steady hand. There must be a misunderstanding. I have no business with you. Raúl's face went purple. Don't lie. We have a contract. I met his gaze. I don't teach fools, Raúl. I just watch them fail the test. Dad, what are they talking about? Lily stood, shaken, and Diego shoved her back down. Sit still. Don't embarrass me. It wasn't a request, it was a command. In that moment, I saw the illusion shatter in my daughter's eyes. The light split in two, the part that loved, and the part that realized she was being used. Take your hand off me, she said softly. You're not going anywhere until this is resolved, Diego replied. She jerked her arm free. The chair knocked hard against the floor like a dry gunshot, freezing the room. I said let go. Raúl slipped into Spanish, fury, blinding caution. Hold your woman, or everything collapses. Please speak English, I said calmly. We can all manage it. The corner of Raúl's mouth twitched as he realized his slip. Veronica leaned back, her tone sharp as a blade. No one can steal anything from you unless you leave your wallet open. I nodded. Thanks for the confession. Diego. Lily's voice was suddenly steady. Your visa is expired. I saw the papers. The room fell dead quiet. You went through my things. The seductive mask fell from his face. Your real surname is Ramirez. You have a second phone. Who is Elena? Veronica shot to her feet. The girl knows too much. Knows what? I asked, pushing a spotlight into their breach. Raúl hesitated too late. Veronica lowered her voice. We need the wedding now, this week, before it gets worse. There won't be any wedding, Lily said, clear and final. Diego seized her wrist. You're hurting me, Diego. I used the command voice that had made reckless men back off. Let my daughter go. Now. He released her, but kept himself between us. Your daughter owes us a wedding, Raoul growled. We've invested in this family. You call trapping a nurse an investment? Your risk appetite is vile. Lily turned to Veronica, eyes wet but bright. Power isn't in the chair, it's in character which you don't have. Veronica curled a lip, stroking Camilla's chair as if asserting possession. Comfortable seat. Camilla must have known how to choose a power place. I looked at the chair, then at her. Every signature of yours is a noose. What investment? Lily asked, her voice beginning to crack. Your father took 40,000 from us, Veronica said coolly, for a partnership. Now he refuses to pay. That's a lie, Lily cried, but her eyes searched for mine, looking for true north. Raoul crowded forward. Tell her about the freight contract. I stayed even. There is no freight contract. Oh, there is just not the kind you think. Diego pulled a packet from his jacket. We have the contract. Yes, exactly. Contracts in which you declared yourselves to be engaged in immigration crimes, money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud. I smiled. Did you even read what you signed? Diego's face blanched. Every word in there is confession, I continued. Every dollar you brought is marked and traceable, every conversation recorded. You set us up, Raoul hissed, sweat smearing down a gold chain Greed's emblem stained. No, I just held up a mirror to liars. Raoul's hand slid into his pocket. The faint click of metal drew the room tight as a bowstring. Hands where I can see them, Jack's voice carried from the hallway, his shadow falling over Raoul like a verdict. Jack stepped in with 2 Phoenix Police Department officers. A beam of light cut across the room, a slash of law through the storm. Nobody move. You've said enough to squander any leniency, Raoul. I need air, Lily whispered, turning toward the door. Diego lunged for her arm. You're not going anywhere. She tore free and ran. I started to move on instinct, but Jack's hand touched my shoulder. Let her breathe. This kind of shock needs oxygen. Raoul shouted in Spanish, Keep your woman in place, or we lose everything. I rose slowly, phone in hand, eyes never leaving the 3 in front of me. Fascinating. Even now, you can't stop ordering other people around. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, I think it's time we spoke like civilized people. The doorbell rang. The silence before it was dense like the air in a morgue, just before the lid is sealed. That must be the last guest for dinner, I said, stepping to open the door. The porch light behind me cast my shadow long across the floor, like a guide leading someone into judgment. The first gust of air blew out one of the candles on the table. Camilla had seen enough. Rain began to fall harder, each drop drumming the roof like an execution march. Elena stood on the porch, 6 months pregnant, her face both beautiful and terrified. Behind her stood another officer. The wooden floor moaned under each step she took, inside every footfall, a new charge being read aloud. Diego, her voice echoed through the house. Mi amor. From the dining room came the sound of something shattering. Diego froze where he stood, unable to move. Elena, his voice cracked. The light fell across a bloodless face. She entered slowly, carrying her dignity through the wreckage. Hola, Diego. Your father said you were on a business trip. Raoul cursed in Spanish. Veronica blinked once the final mask fell. Who is she? Lily had returned, though the answer was already clear. The light reflected off her pale face, suspended between 2 worlds, innocence and awakening. I am Elena Cruz, she said in careful English. I'm carrying Diego's child. We've been together for 6 years. 5. Diego reflexively corrected and instantly realized the mistake. So you do know her? Lily asked. Elena held up her phone, showing the ultrasound. 3 more months until the baby is born. You promised you'd be there, Diego. This is a setup! Raoul roared. No, Jack answered, standing beside 2 Phoenix officers. This is justice. I looked at each of them, reading the indictment between the thunderclaps. Raúl Alvarez, You were deported in 2019 and are now here illegally. Diego, your visa expired on March 10, you're here illegally too. The $40,000 you invested was marked cartel money funneled through Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale, part of the Sinaloa network. You can't prove anything, Veronica spat, her hand trembling as she reached for a glass of water. The bottom clinked against the table, the death knell of the family. Oh, we can! Another voice cut in. Detective Grant from the Phoenix Police Department entered. We've been building this case for 3 years, and you just handed us the final piece. Lily, Diego reached for her. I can explain. Don't. Lily stepped back exactly 1 pace, just enough space for freedom. Don't say another word. Elena stepped forward, voice trembling but clear. The money you said we didn't have, $40,000, where did it come from? It's complicated, Diego muttered. Complicated? Elena gave a hollow laugh, tears falling. What's complicated? You left me pregnant to marry another woman just for documents? It meant nothing, he protested. Just business. And me? Lily asked. Did I mean nothing too? He looked between the 2 women he had betrayed, and for the first time there were no words left to disguise his cowardice. Mr. Alvarez, Detective Grant said, stepping forward, all 3 of you need to come with us. This isn't over, Raoul snarled, sweat dripping along the stained gold chain at his neck. No, I answered, looking straight at him. It's over. As they were cuffed and led out, Raoul thrashing, Veronica with her head bowed, Diego silent, Elena turned to Lily. I'm sorry. I didn't know about you. I didn't know about you either, Lily said. The 2 women stood there, betrayed by the same man, while police sirens wailed outside, red and blue lights sweeping cold patterns across my walls. I remembered Camila's words. Sometimes justice doesn't knock. It simply waits in the rain. Tonight, it walked through my door. Elena looked down at her belly. At least my child will be born in truth, not in lies. Lily nodded faintly. I thought I was betrayed alone, but now I see we were both victims of the same game. Jack spoke quietly. It's done. I shook my head. No, it's only beginning for those still living. Rain hammered the roof. The ticking clock pulled everyone back to the present. Lily held my hand, one trembling from hurt, the other from lost faith, both gripping tight. On the porch, Elena walked away into the rain, no umbrella, one hand shielding her stomach, her steps slow but resolute, life moving through the ashes. And as the sirens faded, I looked toward Camila's empty chair and whispered, I kept my promise, mi amor. 18 days after the arrests, Agent Valdez replayed the surveillance footage on the large screen in the conference room. The harsh hum of the projector tore through the silence, a courtroom without a jury, beginning in white light. April 2nd, 11 a.m. The ICE Phoenix field office was filled with a controlled urgency. Fluorescent lights cast cold shadows against the walls. There was no place to hide. Behind the glass partition, the American flag did not wave. It only cast its shadow across the table like a silent night watchman of the law. I pointed at each frame, explaining the moments the crimes were captured, while Lily sat beside me, small against the black leather chair, her face illuminated by a light that made her look more like a suspect than a witness. Every time Analyst Carter typed, the click-click of the keys struck like a judge's gavel. In the corner, Jack Torres stood with folded arms, the sharp eyes of a man too familiar with the world's filthier truths. Here, Valdez paused on a still frame. The light shifted, revealing every thread of exhaustion on our faces. March 26th, 3:47 p.m., both suspects simultaneously admitted to money laundering. The next slide filled the wall, a duffel bag zoomed in, greed's face enlarged to the size of guilt itself. The $40,000 were marked, Valdez said, switching slides, traced to accounts linked to the Sinaloa cartel. This is no longer marriage fraud. This is organized crime. Jack muttered, his tone cold as steel. This time, they invested in the wrong family. Dad, you knew about the baby? About Elena? Lily's voice trembled, shrinking to a string pulled too tight. I knew from the start, I said, swallowing hard. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to know what it feels like to be betrayed twice in one breath. The screen shifted to a recorded video call. Elena appeared speaking slowly, carefully recounting her years with Diego. The audio crackled faintly when she said, "He left me while I was pregnant," as if even the truth shook crossing the wires. Lily's tears fell when Elena showed the Christmas photos, each timestamp flashing at the corner of the screen. She covered her mouth, holding back sobs, not crying for love, but for the trust she had once believed in. "Miss Walker," Valdez turned to her, "we'll have to release Diego, so we need you to proceed with the wedding." "What?" Lily shot up. The room froze. Even the air conditioner's low rumble sounded like thunder. "This is a controlled operation," Valdez said, her voice dropping like loaded rounds. "The wedding will take place and we'll arrest him there. Full charges, no escape." Analyst Carter looked up from his notes. "They've already threatened you. That adds coercion and assault." "I can't marry him," Lily whispered. "Not even as an act." "You won't be marrying him for real," Valdez reassured her. "The officiant will be one of our agents. Nothing will be legally binding, but they must believe it until the cuffs close." Carter nodded. "You just need to smile at the right time, say the right words, and stay calm when we move in." Lily's voice broke. "What if he touches me again?" "Then he'll learn what marriage feels like in federal custody," Valdez replied. Jack clicked his pen, a sound that loaded the air like a safety being switched off. "The cartel link runs deeper," he said. "Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale launders millions. Your case is the key to cracking the entire chain." Valdez's phone buzzed. She checked it, frowning. "Raul just bought 3 one-way tickets to Nogales June 14th, right after the wedding. They're planning to flee," Carter said. "With my daughter," I added. "Likely abduction, they'd take her to Mexico, keep her until they got citizenship." Lily went pale. "They were going to kidnap me?" Valdez nodded. 3 tickets. Not 4. They never planned to take the wife with them. The evidence piled up like stones on a grave. Raul's 2019 deportation record for aggravated assault. Veronica's 2020 marriage, fraud investigation. Similar cases in California, Arizona, and Nevada, a chain of crimes spanning decades. "Diplomatic relations with Mexico are delicate," Valdez said, "but with Elena's cooperation and the cartel link, we have federal backing." Jack nodded slightly. "The baby changes everything. He abandoned a pregnant woman to commit immigration fraud. The jury will shred him." Carter flipped open a code book, reciting the charges like an inventory of sins. Illegal entry, money laundering, conspiracy. Raul, 10 to 25 years. Veronica, 5 to 15. Diego, 3 to 8, followed by deportation. Jack added, "We could attach Rico if we prove the pattern." "Depends on how many families they've scammed," Valdez noted. I stared at the slide labeled Marriage Fraud, 2020, Veronica Alvarez, and murmured, "Same pattern, same script, only the victims change." Lily looked at the frame, showing Elena with her swollen belly. "She carries his child. The child carries his scars, both born from pain." "Pain," I said quietly, "is the only justice left in this story." Valdez signaled, and Carter stepped forward, attaching a micro-recording device to Lily's collar, a small, glinting stone, like the jewel of a warrior. The overhead light caught the mic, making it gleam like the blade of justice itself. "You'll be the final voice in his sentence," Valdez said softly. I exhaled. "Camila once said, 'Justice doesn't need to shout it, just needs someone brave enough to speak.'" Lily nodded, her voice now steady. "Then that day, I'll speak for her." Jack smirked darkly but approving. "I've seen brides cry at their weddings. Never one who made an entire cartel cry with her." Valdez shut down the projector. On the screen, the final slide glowed with stark lettering. "Operation, White Veil. June 14th, she said. The wedding, a fake marriage with a real sentence." The room fell silent. Only the hum of the printer broke it, spitting out subpoenas and tactical deployment lists. Lily stood, clutching the case file. The white light wrapped her face, no longer the betrayed girl, but a soldier in a wedding dress. She touched the pair of fake rings in her pocket. They were cold, like the metal that would soon close around his wrists. The door shut behind her, reflecting the blurred words etched on the glass. Justice Department. My daughter's face merged with the word justice. In the hallway, Jack murmured to me, "You've created a soldier. Pray she won't have to pull the trigger." I looked through the window at the gray sky. Rain began again, thin, steady, relentless. Justice comes slowly, but it always comes in rain. After several weeks of preparation, Agent Valdez said, June 13th, at the church we've coordinated with the venue. The fluorescent lights in the conference room were cold as steel. The church floor plan lay open on the table. Red dots marked seats for family, friends, choir, in truth, the jaws of the law. How many agents? I asked. 20 undercover as guests, plus 15 outside. Phoenix Police Department on standby if needed. Jack tipped his chin toward the layout. We're not staging a wedding. We're staging a courtroom in a wedding dress. My phone buzzed a text from Diego. We need to talk about the investment. Meet tomorrow. Let him wait, Valdez advised, eyes never leaving the map. No contact until the wedding. Make them desperate. I nodded. Let him go hungry and he'll bite his own tongue. Lily turned to me. Mom would do this, wouldn't she? She would fight back. I didn't answer. I just squeezed her hand. Valdez closed the file and stood. Miss Walker, you're brave. Most victims never get justice. How many victims are there? Lily asked. Valdez met her eyes. The ones we know about. 42 people across 7 states. This is a large network with many players. But Diego's family is the first link that will bring the rest into the light. The room went quiet but for the hum of the AC. On June 14th, the church breathed lilies, the smell of sacred ritual mixed with the sweat of nerves. Stained glass poured red-blue-violet across the floor. The wall clock ticked softly, each beat a step closer to handcuffs. In the front pew, the fake program read, "Until Truth Do Us Part." The choir murmured a long, meaningless note. A few wore tiny bean-sized earpieces, barely a dot of flesh. 2 aunties fussed over seating in reality. Agents, a kindly deacon with a service book, was actually the signal lead. An usher smiled with his mouth while his eyes swept like lasers. Each time the main doors opened, the hinges gave a faint rasp, judgment's narrow seam. The bride's chair sat empty minutes before the hour, a place where vows were about to turn into exhibits. Valdez checked her radio. Alpha ready. Bravo hold. The sound was thin as a mosquito, audible only if you really listened. Jack counted breaths. 1, 2, 3. Stand by. The prelude began. Diego stood at the lectern, fingers fussing at his collar when he caught cartel whispers drifting from a friend's row. Lily walked the center aisle, veil floating. I stood a half step off, a father shield angling her from every gaze. At the steps, she paused a beat, drew a breath, then looked straight through Diego, not a bride, but a gavel. The officiant, a federal agent, smiled gently and opened the service book. We are gathered here to, his voice blended with the clock's pulse. Above, the stained glass flashed a red streak, an omen. Diego glanced at his watch, already impatient. His phone vibrated. He held himself back, didn't answer. Greed hissed between his teeth. If anyone objects to this union, speak now. The familiar line rang out. The whole church went silent as if the power had been cut. Heels clicked on stone. The rear doors opened. A gust flipped a few Bible pages. Elena entered carrying a small bundle. Warm, stained light pooled across her cheekbones. I object, she said, crisp and clear. In that instant, the communion wineglass slipped from Diego's hand, slow motion. Glass shattering, red wine splattering the white cloth like blood soaking a shroud. Stained glass flaring red again. Gasps rippled, the kind that choke the throat with reality. Diego blanched. Lies! A setup. Valdez didn't look at him. She just said flatly, "Stand still," not a suggestion. This is a trap? You said you loved me, said you couldn't live without me, and that if I just married you, I'd get a green card. I believed you. Why? Diego shouted and lunged toward my daughter. That was the signal. Nobody move. 20 guests rose in unison, badges glinted at their collars. Guns stayed holstered, but safeties were off. The pews grated the floor in a low roar like an army taking the field. A few real guests screamed chaos. Diego swung at an agent and was slammed to the ground in seconds. White frosting from the wedding cake toppled, smearing under his tread a wedding stained by the man who was already filthy. Diego Alvarez. Detective Grant advanced, steel cuffs catching the light. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit marriage fraud and illegal entry. Steel cuffs gasped. Lily, please. Diego looked up, desperate. Lily lifted her veil, the rite of burying an illusion, then pulled off the ring and hurled it. It pinged off his chest, fell to the floor with a ting the whole church heard. That's for the lies, for Elena, for the child you abandoned. Diego reached out. Just hear me out? No. You already had your chance, Lily said. Valdez added another bite of charges. Diego was hauled past fallen flowers, toppled chairs. The cake wrecked across the aisle. White icing spread like extinguished dreams. Yellow crime scene tape crisscrossed the church doors, heaven's entry temporarily closed for earthly sin. The music stopped. Stained light still washed Lily's face, a remnant of sanctity. Her veil slipped from her hand onto the Bible, covering half the word justice on the program. She now wore the truth. The evidence team moved in. The church emptied, petal dust falling like ash, a funeral for illusion. Only the two of us remained amid wilted flowers and quiet, just Lily and me. Jack came back in from the steps. Transport's ready. Valdez wants you to know the Phoenix Police Department just logged 12 new victims coming forward as the news broke. 6 weeks later, August 26th, the Arizona sun gilded everything as it sank behind my house. The glow of sunset was more than light, it was like a golden dust of burnt ash, a warm memory lingering after the storm. Wind moved through the old oaks, exhaling thin sighs like the whispers of souls newly vindicated. The wooden table on the porch, the one Camila used to wipe every morning, reflected the wine into a clean red streak, like the blood of a story whose file had been closed. I set 2 glasses on the table but poured only one. The other was for the one still watching from somewhere else. Lily's tires sifted over the gravel, recalling the pounding heels of the day of the arrests in the church. She looked healthier, sunlight on her cheekbones, a smile breaking at something on her phone, a message from a new friend at the hospital where she would begin work next month. She stepped onto the porch and sat beside me, the smell of shampoo and city streets mingling with wine and wood smoke, the bittersweet scent of an ending done right. The news is finally dying down, she said. Thank God, I answered, then slowly. The news quiets, but memories never go silent. Inside, Camila's photo on the mantel caught the last beam eyes in glass gleaming as if they had foreseen everything and already forgiven all. In recent weeks, the headlines burned hot enough to feel unreal. Large-scale immigration fraud ring, taken down at fake wedding. 2 weeks of national coverage, CNN, Fox, each with its take, while the truth stood fixed between the winds. Sentencing came down yesterday, I said, keeping my voice even, like reading a clerk's record. Raul got 14 years in federal prison, then deportation. Veronica got 7 years. Diego got 5, then deportation as well, and the ring remains under investigation. As for the $40,000 reimbursed from federal asset forfeiture, the money hit my account this morning. Lily nodded and took a sip from the good bottle we'd opened on the first dinner back in January, closing a circle. She smacked her lips, thoughtful. 5 years sounds light. Sometimes justice counts in years, I said, watching the light go, and conscience counts in nights. Elena's back in Mexico, I continued. The government is helping with compensation from seized assets. She'll be all right. That woman was born in storms. Rain to her is just habit. We sat quiet, watching the sun drop past the trees. The summer air no longer had that dry, vicious heat. It was warm like earth recently scorched, still radiating the warmth of justice. I signed up for Spanish, Lily said, surprising me. I arched an eyebrow. If you know the language of the ones who hurt you, you stop being afraid, she smiled. No more secrets around me. Not ever again. Jack arrived in pure Jack fashion, 2 cases of beer, a tray of barbecue, red dust on his boots. He set everything down and handed me an envelope from León, Guanajuato. Inside were photos of Miguel Elena's newborn chubby cheeks, black eyes innocent before his father's sins. She writes that the boy looks like his dad, but has his mother's spirit, I said. Lily took the letter, murmuring a translation, her first Spanish homework. Jack produced another envelope, addressed to Lily from a federal prison. Diego's handwriting was spiky, both familiar and strange. She didn't open it. Instead, she walked to the corner of the yard where I kept a steel bin for burning papers and dropped the envelope in. The paper caught, curling like the apologetic hand of someone who would no longer be heard. Some words aren't worth reading, she said. I nodded. And some memories shouldn't live twice. That night, we burned many things: the fake marriage license, the wedding plan, the guest list. Last came the dress. Fire took to synthetic fabric as quickly as cheap illusions ignite. The flames ate the white the way a freed justice drinks air. Ash lofted and clung to Lily's fingers. She didn't brush it off, leaving a thin gray streak like the decision to live with a scar. A breeze slid through, lifting the ash high and letting it fall into the dark. Fireflies flickered across the lawn, new light after a night of justice. The Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale dealership is shut, Jack reported, his dry humor intact. Feds seized the lot. The investigation's opened across 15 states. More than 60 victims have come forward. Will they all be made whole? And will everyone in the ring be caught? Lily asked. That depends on the force of law, I said. No one returns the years they lost, but at least the money goes back to the right hands. I set a fresh stack of papers on the table, the pages still smelling of ink. Walker Freight and Logistics just signed a Defense Department freight contract, this time the real thing. $6 million over 4 years, legal, clean. The contract we faked before to bait criminals. I chuckled. Fiction turned fact. The universe has a sense of humor. Lily laughed, the first true laugh I'd heard from her in months. Mom would have loved that detail. I raised my glass. To Camila, who taught me Spanish, the language that saved our girl. To Mom, Lily answered, and to new beginnings. Jack clinked his can. To justice served cold and calculated. He winked. Exactly the kind of dish they use to force on others. The stars came on, Arizona summer cicadas, droning like a chorus of survivors. Lily told me about a new colleague. His name is David. Divorced, with a daughter. He's careful, very honest. Careful is good, I said, but honest is better. After a liar, honesty is the most luxurious gift. A week later, a letter arrived from Agent Valdez, unofficial but sincere. Our case had become required training material at ICE, an example of how civilians and feds can lock a ring in irons. Jack grinned. You're famous in law enforcement now. I'm fine being anonymous, as long as my daughter is safe, I said. Fame is a prize for the victor. Peace is a prize for the survivor. I think of Mom so much, Lily said quietly. I wonder what she would have done if she were here. Exactly what I did, I said. Only faster. We both laughed. Somewhere out there, a patrol car whooped a short burst, a reminder that justice doesn't sleep. A line of light tore the sky, a shooting star, rare in August, arriving exactly when needed. Make a wish, I said. Lily closed her eyes, then opened them, her gaze reflecting embers and a sky salted with stars. I wish for the wisdom to always see the truth. That's not how it works. You aren't supposed to say it out loud. She smiled, rueful and proud. No more secrets, remember? The night deepened. Jack left, tossing over his shoulder a soldier's kind of joke. Don't set up another trap before lunch tomorrow. We both laughed, the laughter of people who had seen too much. Lily stayed longer, neither of us eager to leave the calm of this moment. Not the simple kind of calm, but the kind that comes after war. The Arizona moon shone cold, like a verdict carved into the sky, its reflection on the porch railing thin as steel. The wind swept across the yard, carrying the faint scent of burnt ashes, the smell of lies reduced to smoke. The house whispered in its smallest sounds. A broken note from a cicada, a faint creak of the floorboard, the dry clink of a glass against wood life, just enough to emphasize the composed solitude of night. My phone vibrated. A message from Elena. A video. Miguel laughing his first smile, glowing wet under the amber light. Life, no matter what has passed, continues on its own schedule. He'll never know his father, Lily said softly. That's all right, I answered quietly. Some people only belong in court records, but he'll know his mother fought for him. Not everyone is born from love, but everyone deserves to grow up in truth. That's enough. We sat in silence, two souls returned from the battlefield, not to tell stories, but to prove we were still breathing. The phoenix sky stood still. Tonight, the stars did not flicker. They kept watch like weary witnesses who had already seen too many lies below. Inside, Camila's portrait looked down her smile, asking no questions, casting no judgment, only reminding us that justice is never free. In the distance, an ambulance siren cut through the dark, someone else's emergency, someone else's storm. Hours had passed. The Alvarez family was now the past, arrested, deported, their network dismantled. The past, but the past has claws. It only sleeps when we stop fearing it. Dad, Lily asked, eyes fixed on the sky, would you do it all again, every step, even letting them into the house that first night? Of course, I said. Especially that part. Sometimes you have to let the devil walk in so you can send him back where he belongs. How else could you teach an angel the difference between good and evil if she's never seen the devil's face? You don't regret it? Justice never fails to arrive, I said evenly. It just needs someone who won't fall before it gets there. She stood, hugging me longer than usual. My hands trembled slightly, not from weakness, but from hands that had been too used to gripping triggers and rarely to holding peace. I love you, Dad. Don't say it too loud, I smiled. Your guardian angel's tired. Then, as always, I whispered, I love you too, sweetheart. As her taillights shrank down the gravel path, two glowing red dots that looked like warm wounds, I sat alone beneath the Arizona sky. The night wind dried the edge of the newspaper open on the table. The headline, Justice Served, gleaming under the moonlight. Served indeed, but who could stomach it? Somewhere in a federal prison, 3 people who once thought themselves clever were learning the alphabet of silence. Somewhere in Mexico, a child was growing up between 2 languages, the language of love and the language of mistakes, but would one day choose his own light. Somewhere in Phoenix, my daughter was learning to trust again, and I was learning to wrest a task harder than war. Justice had been served cold and calculated, just as Jack once said, but also warmed by love. A father's love that could move mountains, expose deceit, and speak every language necessary to protect his child. And if it required cruelty, cruelty is the only language evil understands. Cicadas droned their summer hymn. One old cicada fell onto the table, still even nature exhausted after the summer of truth. Tomorrow would bring new trials. But tonight, beneath this honest sky, no one won in the game of deceit, only those who still stood when the light returned. And tonight, we were still standing. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. To listen to the next story, click the box on the left of your screen. Thank you for watching.